Brian is a total power banker. Just don't let Mike charge them. Miss Worm, we always thank her, but it's not enough cause she's a gem. The UK prepper never will survive with a bond that can endure. When your only goal's to stay alive, real Coca-Cola is the cure. Andy is about to saddle the tiger when he's not aboard his UFO. Barry's out with his Geiger, counting rads that made his beard go. The UK prepper network will survive with a bond that can endure. When your only goal's to stay alive, real Coca-Cola is the cure. World survival is our mission. Out in rivers, careful stepper. Alan led with his vision. Defo still no prepper. Hawkins, hacking Hawkins. We've seen his face and let's just say it's enough to take to your eyes with pins. And of course his radio skills pay the way. The UK Prepper Network will survive with a bond that can really hit. When your only goal's to stay alive, Mike took way too long riding this shit.
That took so long. Andy's left. Welcome back to the Preppers Fireside. I'm joined tonight by my guests, Andy, the Bombardier. How you doing, Andy?
Yep, all good, mate. Yourself?
I'm excellent. Thank you very much. We have Alan, world survivalist, who should be doing other jobs at the moment, which we won't discuss on camera, but he's joined us anyway. That's commitment.
It'll be fine. It'll be fine. But yeah, I'm doing good. How are you all doing?
Bury the bodies later. Oh, good. And Brian, Scottish Prep 73, how are you doing?
Good, mate. All good. Thank you.
Excellent. I don't know if I heard something in the background loud, or was that you? I've no idea.
I think it's one of your power banks dying, probably.
Probably exploded.
Please put me on charge, Mike. Right. Anyway, tonight's topics are everything going on in the world today, which we've not done for a while. Generally, we're usually talking about ways to prepare, stuff like that, but that'll come into it as well. So during this, of course, if you guys have got any questions, please, these lives are all for you guys in the chat. This is what it's all about. Please get your questions in there. Anything that's concerning you, anything you don't know how to prepare for, etc. By all means, get it all in there. So we've had hell of a start to the year, gentlemen. What do you think so far? We're like 11 days into 2026, and the shit sandwich is already 3 nuggets deep. Starting with Venezuela. I mean, Andy, what's your thoughts? You must have been keeping an eye on the news since the new year.
Oh, mate, it's fascinating. Like for somebody who served, or somebody, you know, just as a general interest in military operations and things, mate. The Venezuela one, mate. Whether you agree with what they did or they didn't do, what they managed to achieve was something incredible.
Oh yeah, it was surgical.
If you look at those CAG boys, the Delta guys who went and took them out, unbelievable operation, mate. Like fascinating from somebody who served, and you realise at what level those guys operated at, and to achieve what they did was something phenomenal. So it's been great for me, mate, at the beginning of the year. I'm not gonna lie, especially at work, because I'm still in the military sphere. So everybody in work as well, mate, is like, oh, what if this happens or this happens, and then the knock-on effects, mate. So yeah, it's been brilliant for me.
Yeah, it's going to make a cool movie. That'll be a cool movie when it comes out eventually.
Oh, mate, what a movie that would make.
Be excellent.
Yeah, well, who's the lead role in that one?
I'll give it a bash if they phone, you know what I mean? I probably need to lose some weight, you know.
The American movie version will be Trump on the helicopter, though, and going in first, you know.
Making the deal.
Yeah, Brian, the Venezuela thing, it's people are like baffled, like it's something new, but I mean, they went after bin Laden, they went after Saddam Hussein, they had a hand in Gaddafi. It was just probably a cleaner way of doing something they usually do anyway. So any surprises or shocks for you?
The only shock was how brazen that they spun the narrative and made it about money. that the surgical strike taking him into custody and the moral high ground, that all went up like shit in the fire when they turned around and said, yeah, incidentally, we've got him, he's a bad man, we're going to put him under trial, but all the natural resources of that country, we're just now going to administer that. Okay, well, that kind of flies in the face of everything else that you just said, but don't worry, they'll get some of it back. And then the narrative and the truth part of it as well, that the oil companies got kicked out. They get kicked out when they didn't want to renew the leases that weren't on ridiculous terms on their favour, that actually gave some money back to the population. But let's not get the truth get in the way.
So you don't believe it's just for the greater good of stopping a drug cartel war then?
It's for the greater good of a select few in the American administration and their friends who will award the contracts and get all the money, like it happened in Iraq. It's not for the greater good of the Venezuelan population or the Americans. Our friends across the pond who I've got nothing but the greatest respect for, they're not going to see much money out of this. It'll be the rich bastards in charge who get all the money, as per.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the way of the world, right? Alan, it's seizing assets in that kind of way, targeting places where they've got these rich minerals and gas and oil and reserves and stuff. It's the biggest oil and gas reserve in the world, I believe, under Venezuela. It feels like a prelude to needing to build your military. And he's just obviously said he wants to increase that by 50% spending as well this year. So is this him grabbing stuff he needs ready for World War III, do you reckon?
I think what's going on in the world is spheres of influence. You know, it's because Donald Trump has mentioned spheres of influence a few times before, and Putin loves the idea of spheres of influence as well, where the world is divided up into these categories of superpowers who have spheres of influence over certain areas. And the Americans have always had an interest in, you know, South America, because they see that as their own backyard. We knew something was going to happen in Venezuela for ages. I was talking about that on the Discord long beforehand. We knew it was going to be some sort of invasion because they never had the actual numbers of personnel there. I thought they were just going to bomb the hell out of it and then blockade it, you know, kind of the way they did with the Cuban Missile Crisis. I didn't know they were going to go in and actually take their president. But, I mean, the media did try and spin that as if that's a Trumpian thing that's never happened before. The exact same thing happened in Panama almost to the day, you know, with another guy. And if you track back all the other times the Americans have done this, they tend to do it every 22 years or something ridiculous like that. So it's not unprecedented, it's just a thing that they do. And then when they're also going on about international law, well, who point me to an international law policeman? And who comes up with these international laws? The UN? They're already bankrupt, so just ignore them. So that from an American legal point of view, it looks legal to me. And I think nobody in Venezuela is going to shed a tear saying one of the most evil men in the world being removed. But it's 100% about resources, and it's more about denying the Chinese the resources. That's what it's actually about. And then dominating that sphere of influence in that region of the world, which is what the whole Greenland thing's about as well. You know, so it's a big game.
More of a Cold War arms race thing, whereas you're going to get this, so you can't get this. And that's the same sort of narrative that he's now using towards Greenland, right? Yeah,
well, he's playing real life risk. And everybody knows how valuable Greenland is in the risk game.
You hope he doesn't roll a 111.
He's kind of doing that. I mean, I'm sure we'll get onto Greenland at some point. I've got my own views about what's going on there, but definitely with the Venezuela thing, that was because that was the kingpin of that was the gateway for the Chinese to do things like having influence in places like Cuba and Colombia and Mexico and these kind of countries. By taking out that one country, not only do you secure a massive resource, one of the biggest in the world, but you also knock down all of the other little avenues that the likes of the Chinese and the Russians can sneak into these sort of South American countries and stuff. So I think it's a good move. You know what I mean? From an American point of view, it's a fantastically good move. And it's a good move for a Venezuelan point of view. You know, terrible for the Russians and even worse for the Chinese, because they've put billions of loans into Venezuela over the past 10 years, literally billions and billions. And now that's all going to go goodbye, you know?
Yeah. Interesting how that plays out. Yeah, we'll go to the get a few of the comments in. We had a question. I watched the Fallout Shelter video you made about radiation. Should everyone be wearing a mask in the room or just when going out if you need to? Yeah, the masks and NBC suits is if you had to leave, but don't leave if you can avoid it. And just to establish, I'm not on about sealing the room airtight so you suffocate, as one of the comments mentioned. The sheeting on the door and windows an extra layer, as if you like didn't have double glazed, and it's for like particles. Yeah, this is solid stuff, not really the actual air you're breathing. So make sure it's still ventilated so you can not die that way as well. But the masks are only for going outside. Yes. Thank you for that. Whiskey Jack J, did you see reports coming from Venezuela that troops were rendered useless due to a sonic weapon used when they captured him? Actually reported and verified. Have you heard this one, Andy?
No, mate, I haven't.
No. Interesting. Anyone heard anything on this sonic weapon?
There was a thing Michael Clark had spoken about briefly about tech that they had used that shut everything down, and I assumed it was to do with the power grid and comms. But
like a directed EMP charge sort of thing.
Yeah, I thought something like that, but things came back on again, so I kind of discounted that. It's very interesting if it's. They're not usually that worried about collateral damage. They usually emphasize force protection first and foremost over collateral damage.
Yeah, interesting. We'll have to do some more looking into that one. Thank you for that one.
I'll find out when I'm at work and I'll let you know on Discord.
That'd be great. Yeah, awesome. Do you think it would be a good idea to set up mesh core network around my area? Yes, I think we would all agree. Yes, definitely. Get involved on the Discord with our mesh group, and it'll all interlink. And you'll probably find that you've already got a lot of people around there, so it'll pretty much ready to go, depending on where you are, obviously. But it's getting pretty widespread that now. What is it from around my area, Manchester, all the way over to Yorkshire and up towards the northeast, Darlington, that kind of area, right? At the moment is like all connected already. And you're looking at connecting that further north now, Andy, right?
Yeah, so there's already repeaters where my mum and dad live, and it's already connected all the way through Dalton, where Hawkins has got one of his repeaters.
Nice.
And he sent me a message the other day, another one's come online. So the gap now, mate, is probably about 20 meters from my repeater to, and then I'll have comms from Newcastle all the way down to where you guys are.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, definitely worth doing. And yeah, having that as a backup would be brilliant for everyone. Hi, everyone. Did you ever imagine once great country would ever be destroyed from within? No nukes, no dirty bombs, just traitors. They're in power. We voted them in. So what can we do about it? I don't believe it's about drugs or oil. It's likely a cover story. The US is the biggest oil producer in the world. So if it's not about the natural resources or the drugs, I mean, there's got to be some sort of narrative.
It's about stopping the supply to the Chinese.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah.
I mean,
so it is about the oil.
Yeah, it's about the oil, but I mean, I heard some oil expert on the radio the other day talking about how even though they've got the largest oil reserves, apparently not all oil is equal, and the oil in Venezuela is kind of not that great. It's not of a good quality. I don't know how they tell that, whether it's too sweet.
Smart. So they've got smart price oil.
Yeah, it's like bad oil, but you know, I don't think they're going to go in there and just start pumping out.
Ends up Morrison's
barrels of oil. I heard as well that a lot of the US oil companies have got no interest in going to Venezuela because it's not profitable for them. So they actually don't. They're not interested in it particularly. But by denying,
we're on a thing yesterday.
Oh, you went quiet there.
Oh, I was just saying, sorry, they were doing a live with Trump yesterday, and they basically said that they weren't interested unless the security could be guaranteed.
Yeah.
And he went on one of his rants about how it wasn't his fault and blah, blah, blah. But basically, American military strength would underline security. So I think it's tragic when a military is used as a police force so that people can line their pockets with oil revenue. Because that's what we're talking about.
The thing is, there's no shortage of oil in the world. So it's not as if the more oil you can pump, the more money you somehow make, because by doing that, all you would actually do is lower the price of oil. It has to be controlled that way, and there's nobody's running out of oil. So by securing the world's biggest oil revenues, well, so what? It'll probably never leave the ground. That was why the Venezuelans didn't use it all, because they only had like 20% of their capacity was ever utilized, because they simply didn't need it. They didn't have anybody to sell it to.
Madness. But oil funds wars, right? So if you're planning something bigger, then running out might be viable. Last one before we move on. Maduro was dressed for the Arctic when he was kidnapped. A bit strange considering Venezuela is a hot country.
Well, New York this time of the year kind of is the Arctic if you're coming from Venezuela.
Yeah. I mean, if it's cold on the evenings, he might just not want to put the heating on. He might be cheap like me. So this might be how he always dresses for bed.
I'm sure they lent him a jacket.
Yeah, I think the clothes were given to him.
Yeah.
I don't, because he was probably in his tighty whities when they pulled him out.
That would have been a better.
I don't think they were white when they got him.
Blindfolded. Right. Moving on from this, but kind of staying on the same topic as well, is the aftermath of this is the Americans then seizing a Russian oil tanker, which had connections to Venezuelan oil. So did you guys see about this? Has anyone seen this on the news and stuff like that? And
they've done it twice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. They chased one across the Atlantic. The first one they boarded after they'd painted a Russian flag on the side of it, which I was actually laughing about. Some guy, his job for the day was to hang over the side in a bosun's chair with a fucking paintbrush and paint a flag on the side of a moving boat. Can you imagine? It's just surreal. But that just shows how hard-nosed he is, which is the most worrying aspect of all of this. If he's decided he's going to do something, regardless of the political fallout or anything else, he's just decided now he's doing it. He's just doing it. And doesn't give a shit if it upsets the Russians, NATO, anybody in Europe. He's just doing it.
Well, they took off, mate, didn't they, from an airfield in the UK?
Yeah, he took off in Prestwick.
Yeah. The RAF, I believe, supported as well with intelligence, and the Royal Navy had a ship out there at the same time, I think.
Is that the vessel that was actually being trailed by a Russian ship and a Russian submarine at one point as well? Is that the same? I don't know which one it was, but I know one of them was. So that was the second one. Yeah, so they're sending a clear message to say, well, we don't care if you even do that. Escort it all you like, we're still taking it.
Yeah.
What you got to do? That's a change in posture for sure.
I mean, that's ballsy, right?
At least Trump does what he says. I mean, whether you like the guy or not, the guy thinks out loud and tells you pretty much exactly what he's thinking. And he for anybody that says he doesn't follow through with his friends, he clearly does.
Well, I mean, it was like when Alan said at the beginning about international law. International law, mate, by and large, has been enforced by America.
Mm-hmm.
And like Alan said, I agree, mate. There's no international law that says he couldn't do it. It's always been a fiction. But America have always seen themselves as the world's policeman, by and large. Especially when they went into Iraq, Afghanistan, it was always on the premise of we are going in there.
I wish I'd uploaded the Team America World Police clip just for that moment.
I was actually looking for that in my head as he was speaking.
America.
And so with international law, mate, by and large, being enforced by America. Now, like Alan said there, mate, now Trump's doing whatever he wants. There's no one, mate, to push against him. And there's a certain element, mate, of the lawmaker is above the law. And he can do whatever he wants, mate, and there's absolutely no one to push back against him.
It's back to strongman politics, which was that was a pre-Second World War notion that everybody thought had disappeared, and we've bounced right back to it. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I don't know, but historically it doesn't tend to work out well for the strong man, because they push too far. That's historically what happens, but we'll see.
This is the thing. I mean, are we expecting some sort of response from Russia against this now, rather than just rhetoric, is launching that Rezhnik ICBM to Ukraine a kind of showing, look, we've got these ready to go kind of thing. Is that their saber rattling?
What it does do for Russia and China, it now justifies any of the action that they now take in the future to create their own sphere of influence. How can we now condemn Vladimir Putin for doing something identical to this, or the Chinese for doing something very similar to this in the Taiwan Straits? What happens if the Chinese start seizing assets in the Taiwan Straits now? Can Americans genuinely, with a straight face, say you can't do that? That's against international law or maritime law or some other law that's just been invented? Well, they've just did it, and that's the danger of it. Now everybody's just free to do whatever the hell they want as long as they've got the strongman politics behind them.
Yeah. Andy, do you think we'll see a reaction from Russia to this? No. Do you think he's called their bluff with the fact that they were being escorted and still nothing happened?
Yeah, and like Alan said there, mate, it's a massive game, mate, of calling people's bluff. And to be fair, mate, like Alan said, think what you want about him. Trump's extremely good at doing that to people, calling the bluff, and he's did it perfectly, mate, with the tanker. There will come a time, mate, when his luck runs out. And and it will come to a point like that man. Obviously, I'm talking about Putin when I said that man. That man, mate, will only be pushed so far into a corner before retaliating.
Well, this is it. Yeah, well, this is it. This is what I've always thought, and I don't know. I feel like that corner is Russian sovereign territory, though, not something like this. It would have to be like, whether that's a false flag or a real event, it'd have to be an attack directly on Russia, I think, for him to, I don't know, go beyond saber rattling. So, are you still with us, Brian?
Yeah, I'm here, mate.
You're on 1993's internet, so just trying to make sure you're still with us.
Look how slow my finger works there. It's almost like
I can barely see a finger, mate. It's just 6 pixels. On the chat, Kane says Trump will take Greenland for its rare earth minerals for AI. Chef Dora says, here in the USA, I'm in Washington State. Frequency waves made the soldiers' nosebleeds. There you go. God, I mean, that must have been freaky. If they were them soldiers and suddenly the nose started bleeding, they've just watched Stranger Things, they'd be like that. It's all interconnected. VN, Iran, Russia, China, Venezuela. There we go. And the first domino to fall. There we go. China and Russia are military embedded in Venezuela and other South American countries. The USA had its adversaries in its backyard. The drugs fund the black economy and shadow militaries. There you go. I mean, that's fine. I don't the reasons he gave for doing it, I don't disagree with. I question if that was the sole reason.
I don't think drugs
are the moment he didn't say, right, he's done, we've ousted him, let's get an interim government in there, let's get the opposition, let's get such a body in there. The moment he said, actually, no, we're going to run things for a while. And that, in my mind, that just felt like until we've bled you dry. So,
but see, if drugs is the main reason that he's hinting, then why does he not just send the Chinooks down to Langley and start arresting most of the CIA, who's known to be one of the biggest, if not the biggest drug dealer in the fucking planet? So,
because they get a cut of that, obviously.
Also, I mean, they also never done anything with Colombia, which is a far worse drug problem. Also, Venezuela wasn't importing the fentanyl, which is the thing that's killing Americans. It was mostly cocaine, which is just, it's not killing anybody to that extent. So it was never really about drugs. I think that was purely tokenistic.
Yeah. Interesting. Do you think the rest of South America's safe then?
No.
I
don't think anybody's safe.
Cuba and Colombia are definitely on the chopping board, I think.
I mean, did you not hear him today?
Go on.
He said today on one of his lives that Cuba has to make a deal soon. Time's running out.
Cuba
That was just
does.
today. Yeah, that was today.
Honestly, right. Somebody mentioned Risk before, and funnily enough, I've already recorded a video that I mentioned to the lads that I wanted to do, and I was just too ill to do it.
And
but I
also
recorded-
today, he met Netanyahu about possible military strikes in Israel.
Brian, are you reading us?
Hello. Hello.
Mid-string,
Well,
yes.
we can hear you. It's just like you've got like a slight 1 second delay, I think, from us because your picture's
Got a
terrible.
3.5 minute delay.
The picture's not a great loss, let's be honest.
Wait till he replies to the delay. Hang on.
I can hear you fine. I can foresee a plethora of get fucks coming out shortly the way things are going.
It genuinely looks like you're on dial-up, mate. I don't know if it's the Wi-Fi or you're on mobile signal or what, but
I'll see if I can do something with it.
I mean, to be fair, mate, you know, the whole like the reason why he went in genuinely doesn't matter. The more important thing is that there's no one to stop him.
yeah,
Absolutely no one. Like there's like that's the staggering thing. Like there's absolutely nobody.
I said he's going for 8 extra troops. That's what he's going for. It's the whole risk thing again. If he takes North America and South America, that's an extra 5 for North America, an extra 3 troops every turn for South America. He's gonna own that, and that's sorted.
It might
He's
be.
don't worry about Kamchatka.
I wonder how many countries are just going to hunker down now and just wait for his term to be finished and hope that they can sort of hide in the background. You know, the Mexicos and all these kind of countries of the world are just we're going to hear nothing from them, no criticism, nothing at all. Just wait it out. You know, they just have to get through the next 3.5 years or whatever it is, and they hope that he doesn't.
How extreme is that flip flop going to be though after the next election? Because we've had this extreme, and we're going to get a liberal president who then just literally reverses absolutely everything.
It could be, yeah. I mean, that could happen.
But the damage will be done.
Yeah. The sphere of influence won't change because the American military industrial complex will have took a foothold there, and it'd be like trying to dig out a tick. It's that once they're there, they're there.
This guy says CIA is working inside Venezuela. I just wanted to point out that he looks a bit like from the Medellin cartel in one of those drug things with the tin roof. So it's just in his picture. He might really know. Sorry, Brian, you were saying?
I can't remember, so it must have been lies.
I mean, to be fair, mate, in all of this as well, the people, mate, who are in charge of the military units over there as well, mate, have a say in this in terms of it's all good and well, mate, sending the Delta boys in to take Maduro. That's one thing. And like Alan said, mate, we'll get an agreement later, but then turn around and send to the US Marine Corps or whoever else, I want you to go in and take Greenland by force, which is a NATO ally. There's still a part of him, mate, that thinks somebody in those units high up will say, I'm not telling them to do that. Like, there's a big difference, mate, between going into a NATO country and fighting people that you fought along. So when I was in Afghan, mate, it was us, the Navy SEALs and the Danish, right? So you're now telling those lads who fought alongside them to go into that country and potentially take them out. Like, there's still a part of me that says somebody somewhere is going to say,
I don't have no doubts that you're right, because people have conscious, but my worry is you saw that address when he addressed all the generals, and he passively jokingly said, if you don't agree with what I say, that's the end of your career.
Yeah.
And he wasn't joking. He'll just change them. If somebody doesn't follow his orders, I have no doubt he'll be like, okay, well, now you're assigned to this Alaskan post in the middle of nowhere.
But he did that. Sorry, Al.
No, carry on, because I was just going to say something else about Venezuela before we start talking about Greenland.
What's not the Natural History Museum, but it's something like that in the States. And they had a picture up of him, and it had, this is Donald J. Trump in his term. He was investigated for this and caused riots here. The leader of that organisation was taken, they got fired. They got fired, and the picture was changed today. It's the change of pace that's the problem. I think he's just decided, fuck it, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to do everything now, and that's it, and we'll deal with what's left at the end. In the last 2 weeks, he's now decided he's going to attack Iran with Israelis. He's talking about wiping out a NATO ally and disintegrating NATO. Shit, the Russians have been trying to do that for the last 60, 70 years. He's going to do it in a fortnight.
Yeah. Was that the Smithsonian Museum or?
That was it. Yes.
Yeah.
The new person in charge changed the picture.
See, the interesting thing about Venezuela as well, for all the people who are going on about regime change and stuff, the regime hasn't changed. There's no military personnel in Venezuela, not a big number anyway. So it's not like the Americans are there holding the ground and saying we're the interim government, despite the fact that Trump said we're going to run the country. It didn't actually mean run it the way like Iraq was run. There's no military there. It was all done. It was a snatch and grab of a president. But the government that president, so-called president, actually ran, they're still in charge because the vice president just immediately took over. So the person, I can't remember her name, who the Americans would prefer to be there, she's, that it's not like that person's been put in place. It's still the old Venezuela government is still there. So from that point of view, nothing's changed apart from the place is blockaded and they've decapitated the government to the point where the dictator's been removed. So that allows a power vacuum, and they're kind of now just sitting waiting back to see what happens. For the most part, the Venezuelan people are in favor of it, but the military in Venezuela are still pleading loyalty to their now defunct president, which that won't last long. But it's weird that nothing else actually happened after that.
Yeah, there's no backlash instant sort of thing.
I would imagine before they went in, they know everybody that's in charge, all the power players, all the military leaders. They've been told. It's not out with the realms of possibility. They could have been contacted directly, or everybody received a text message at night and said, "Listen, he's gone. Things will stay the same. The things that they didn't do in Iraq they toppled the military and wiped it out, and it caused them all sorts of problems. This is smart. If they leave everybody in charge on the pretext that they do as they're told, and they keep their jobs and their families safe, and if they don't do that, they'll be in the next helicopter with their boss."
Yeah, that makes much more sense. It makes much more sense. So the current vice president who's now taken over, I would bet a sizable amount of the crap in this room that he knew that was coming. And he knew he was going to be put in place, which is maybe why that's happened and why nothing else is going on. But it'll be a long time before we really know the truth of this. But eventually,
we'll wait till the movie comes out, like we said.
But think about what the Israelis did. They blew up. They knew everybody in Hamas and gave them all their phones, and they blew them all up at once. The intelligence apparatus know quite well and have known who's in charge. They could have received a text message half an hour before or during this attack and say, "Listen, he's going. If you don't want to go with him, wages will be paid, everything will stay the same, but we're running the country." That's quite the choice.
I saw an interesting post as well, which was about previous presidents who had done a similar thing and then killed bin Laden, for example, and then killed Saddam, for example, and killed this, for example. Trump went in and captured. So he's actually the most humanitarian out of all of them that have done it. So
there's no martyr
for that.
It should also be pointed out, though, that the history of the United States interfering in sort of Latin American countries and trying to inflict regime change, historically, it's never worked out that well. It's actually never really worked in the favor of the Americans. I mean, take a look at the Bay of Pigs scenario and all the chaos that went there. It never seems to work out that well for the US when they try to take ownership of that region, because there is something of a resistance to that kind of way of thinking, which is why it's always been a bugbear of the US, and many other presidents have tried to do this kind of stuff in the past before, including Trump actually in his first term when he was talking about Venezuela.
Dyslexic, I like your name, said, "What riots did he cause?" I don't think Brian wasn't saying he caused riots. It's saying that's what it said on the museum picture under him, that he caused riots. And I don't believe he caused riots either, unless you watched, the only thing you watched of it was the BBC edit that edited a 1 hour clip between two clips and put them together to make it sound like he was rallying the troops against the Capitol. So, but he wasn't saying that we believe that. He was saying that's what it said in the museum piece for it. Do you guys think the Danish military will go down fighting if the US takes Greenland, Andy?
I think if somebody came into, if you're stationed on Greenland, mate, and somebody comes in aggressively, to take over your country, you're going to fight back, aren't you?
Yeah. But
So,
I mean,
say for example, if Russia invaded here, would you want to fight back?
yeah, of course.
Of course you would do, and I don't see it being any different, mate, for them. Especially if think about it, right, mate. If they came in, I don't know, say they came on the coast and just walked in, right? Maybe there would be a bit of a tense standoff. But if they get bombed and then troops hit the ground, 100%, they're going to go down fighting. They're not just going to.
It's kind of like a reverse Falklands.
The only reason I'm asking, I don't know the people, and if you've worked with them, if you've actually served with them, are they patriotic kind of? You know what I mean? Is it that kind of people, or
you know, it's a weird thing, mate. It's like I've never serving in the military, mate, doesn't necessarily make you patriotic. And I know that sounds like a weird thing to say. Everybody I spoke to, mate, across the three, well, there's more than three nationalities I worked with, but every single person out there, mate, was out there for the lads they worked with.
Yeah.
That's what they're out there for. I never heard a single person, mate, ever say to me, I'm doing it for Queen and Country. Do you know what I mean? Or I'm doing it for the president, or I'm doing it for folks back home. It was always for you wanted to be a soldier, you were sent there, and now your common goal was you wanted to bring everybody back together. Yeah. So
that doing it for my country, doing it for my president, doing it for my queen is what you think right up until the point you start, right?
Yeah. And especially when you go on to, especially when you see, mate, the way that you get treated, the things, the kit and equipment that's not there, the systemic failures of the government, your attitude switches very fast to a case of, to be fair, mate, it makes you more tight-knit as a group, because it generally is us against them, and we've got to bring everyone home. This whole idea, this whole notion of that we're out there fighting for king and country, I never heard anyone say it, mate, to be honest with you. Not a single person. It was always the guy to the left and right of me. I'll do everything I can to bring yous back, and vice versa. That's all it was about. So,
yeah, I mean, they've not got the means. Let's be honest. Technically, have they? But I mean, we're going to go on to Greenland now anyway, so we'll go on to that. This could put a massive wedge into NATO, right? I mean, Alan, what's your thoughts on it?
First, I don't think America will militarily take Greenland. I don't think that's going to happen. I could be totally wrong, because Trump, of all the people, is the kind of guy who could just suddenly surprise me and do something like that. Weighing up all of the options, it doesn't sound likely to me that that's what he'll do, for lots of different reasons. Like I was saying, it almost feels like a kind of reverse Falklands if he was to do that. You know, there was Royal Marines based in the Falklands when Argentina invaded, and they put up a bit of a tokenistic fight because they didn't actually have anything to sort of properly resist the might of Argentina at the time. But they put up a resistance because that was their duty to do that. And then, of course, they surrendered and they got repatriated, and then they went right back out once we sent people there. But I say it's reverse because obviously the Danish aren't going to fight the Americans. If America militarily wants Greenland, they're going to take it. There's nothing anybody can do about that. But there's no reason for them to do it. It makes no sense to me. None of it at all. So I don't think it's going to happen.
Huge assets, minerals.
But they have all that now.
No, but I mean,
they're not taking it.
But they can. Yeah. There's nothing stopping them. They can build as many military bases in Greenland just now if they want, and they can send as many mineral companies as they want right now under the two current agreements. So there's no reason for doing it. There's only one reason I can think of why the Americans would want to absolutely take over ownership of Greenland from a territorial point of view, and that is to exclude Europeans.
Well, I mean, someone said there, Greenland will do a deal with Trump to keep sovereignty, yeah, or whatever, allow the US to put defense infrastructure in and ultimately benefit. Trump wants it because of the nature of the tech. He can already put...
They already have unlimited. Like unlimited.
They can already do with it. Like, they've already got the agreement in place. He could build a submarine base there, mate, if he wanted to. Like, everything is already there for him to do that.
Yeah.
He was arguing with a reporter 3 nights ago who said, well, actually, Mr. President, you were one of the other presidents who shut down 4 bases in Greenland. We had X amount and you shut down 4 of them. Nah. And he went off on a rant about Sleepy Joe. and then it was what news organisation are you with? They're terrible, terrible. It's probably worth saying. I notice a few of our viewers are getting a bit prickly. This isn't a poke at the US. We have got nothing but the greatest of respect for our friends across the pond. However,
most of us would emigrate there. So
yeah, but we're entitled to an opinion about poor choices or what we think's poor choices. The same as we'll comment on our own shitty government because they make shit choices all the time. It's not a bash the Yank session. It's just because this is topical, and because a few people are starting to get a bit nippy about it. I noticed. Don't take it personally. It's a discussion and it's an opinion, and it's not slagging anybody off. Yeah.
No. I mean, it is literally just discussing literally what's happening in the news. If it wasn't happening, we wouldn't be discussing it. It's as simple as that. Well, I mean, it'd be interesting for our American friends. We've got quite a few of you in the chat at the moment. There's 198 people in here. It'd be interesting to know the fact that he can put defenses there, the fact that he can have mineral deals there already. What is the reason he would need to take over Greenland, in your opinion? So if you can put that in the chat.
Like Alan said there, mate, where he said that the reason he thinks he'd do it would to be exclude Europeans. Mm-hmm. The reason why I think he would do it is to blow up NATO and finish NATO once and for all.
Do you think he wants to pull out of that NATO commitment, like financially and militarily? And this
I don't think I personally, mate, I think he wants NATO gone. And if the quickest way to do that would be if you invade, if he went into Greenland and invaded a NATO country, and the other NATO countries did nothing, it's the death of NATO.
Yeah,
it's gone. It doesn't exist anymore, mate.
I think they were talking about that.
I think there would be a European version of NATO. I think that's what would happen. It would just be.
But to be fair, mate,
EU, right?
So look at it this way, right? If the old NATO's gone, yeah, it's totally gone, and then you make a new European NATO, yeah. Why would Putin think of anything else other than, well, if I went invaded UK, why would anyone come and turn up? It's an absolutely empty threat, because if America did it and got away with it, why couldn't he get away with it? Like, it's an absolute shell of an idea. Yeah, it sets a precedent of, so all of the guys who didn't turn up to defend Greenland are going to make a coalition that they're going to defend each other when they didn't go and defend someone who was originally in it. NATO.
Well, I mean, there is a grey area, because Greenland is, as much as it's a sort of realm of, Denmark or whatever, it's not actually a European country. It's a territory. So you can have a territorial sort of dispute that way.
But it's part of NATO, though.
Greenland isn't.
Yeah, but Denmark is.
Yeah. But I can see the sort of middle ground where they're like, we're just talking about a territory. We're not talking about you as a country. Whereas, Article 5 talks about the country, not all of its territories. I mean, when Argentina invaded the Falklands, that didn't trigger Article 5, because although we own it, it doesn't mean, that wasn't an attack on the UK. It wasn't an attack on NATO, sorry. So there are grey areas, I think. Maybe I could be wrong with that, though.
They were talking about this on the news the other day, about that if he wants out of NATO. So he's basically turned around and said, the European countries are paying their way in NATO. I totally agree with that. I totally agree with that. And when he put a shot across their bows last year, it's still not been well received, because we've still not done it, right? Or a lot of them still haven't done it. If he wants to get out of NATO, he needs to go and get approval from Congress and everything else. If he does it this way, he gets out the back door and he doesn't need to ask permission from anybody. So it's a backdoor exit without having to ask for permission. He just does this and that's it, gone. It could be what he wants. I don't know. I'm just throwing out ideas. Somebody's already told me I'm wrong. I don't know what I'm wrong about instantly, but if you want to let me know what I'm wrong about, we can chat about it.
Yeah, just listen, just a quick warning to the comments, right? If you're saying anything in the comments that YouTube wouldn't like, our moderators will remove you, because for the sake of the podcast and everyone's channels on here, if you're saying something that is not politically correct, for example, then we the ones that get chastised for that. But we will go to the comments now because we've got quite a few comments regarding this. Joshua says, as an American, we want NATO gone. We are tired of supporting that shit. There you go. I agree. He wants NATO gone, says Francino. The same reason as he did Venezuela, to stop Russia or China taking it. I'm not buying that one. I'm not buying that you're going to take over a country to stop Russia or China taking it when you already have the position and facilities to put defensive measures on that country. Yeah, so you could put an American base on there and that would stop them taking it, because that's technically US sovereign territory as soon as it's on that base. So that I don't buy that one, but yeah, okay, good to get the opinion. Surely if he did take Greenland, that does protect the UK more from Russia and China. I'm not sure how that works. It probably doesn't, because it would dissolve that NATO agreement, putting us all in a bit more of a vulnerable position in a way. Look over the pole, not across the EU. I mean, I get that. But again,
it's definitely strategically significant. But all the strategic things are there in place just now. It makes no sense. And it can only be to exclude a European country from having access to it, which is what they could then do. They could then boot all of the European nations that train there and the Danish out and say, yous aren't allowed in because it's now all ours. Or it's to get out of NATO. That's the only two things it sounds likely to be. It's not about so we can put missile bases or police the waters with, more boats, because they can do all of that now. And they can take all of the minerals now. The rare earth minerals, by the way, aren't rare. I don't know why it's got that name, but there's plenty of them all over the world. It's another weird thing when I was looking at the rare earth minerals the other day.
I'm surprised. Oh, go on, mate.
No, the pager thing.
I'm surprised, mate, that he didn't do more with all of the minerals, mate, in Afghanistan when we were there. So when everybody pulled out, the Chinese mate went in and said to the Taliban, look, we'll build all your roads, we'll build your hospitals, just give us exclusive rights to all the minerals and let us mine them. We won't try and like push on you any of our political ideas or ideologies. We literally just want to come in, we'll build your roads, we'll build your hospitals, and we'll take all your minerals. And the Taliban were like, yeah, great. So I'm surprised that whilst they were there, nothing was ever put in place, or no pressure was put on him to go down that route himself.
The Chinese are playing the long, smart game,
I know, but what I'm saying is, like, the way Trump bangs on about mineral deals, I would have thought back then when he was in power, he would have done something in Afghanistan and not just left it to the Chinese to just steamroll.
Yeah, and leave loads of equipment behind and stuff like that.
Small change.
It wasn't me. It was Sleepy Joe. It was Biden's war. I didn't do anything. And fucking China.
He's done with NATO, so he's needs another airport in the European sphere because he won't be able to use the UK anymore after NATO has gone. I mean, we are the landing craft for the state. Did you see all the amount of was it C-19s that came over early January? Loads of American huge planes came over to England, so that's interesting. UK Urban Prepper, pirate radio hobbyist Radio Free Polaris, as real Americans don't support Trump and what he's doing. Okay. Everyone's entitled to their opinion.
It's emotive.
Half of them do, at least.
See, the thing is, it's very emotive.
You could say that about us, but half of us definitely don't support our Prime Minister.
Yeah.
One quick point. The Hamas thing, that was the thing that I got wrong, apparently. My understanding is and was that the Israelis synchronized and blew up the Hamas leadership with detonating their pagers. I don't know what. Sorry, Hezbollah. I don't know what was wrong about that.
No, and that was a fantastic piece of Israeli ingenuity. That they should make a bloody film about that as well.
That's class.
That was amazing intelligence gathering and an amazing operation. Whether you support that kind of action or not, from a purely militaristic point of view, that was incredible.
I mean, I've got to be honest.
Makes me wear my iPhone now on a bulletproof chest plate.
It seems to be that I'm being negative and anti-Trump and all this. Next thing, don't get me wrong. Some of the things that he does, I actually really think's a good idea. Like, say,
we would love a lot of the things if it was in the UK. For
100%.
Right? Yeah,
shutting the borders, reasonable checks and backgrounds and people coming in. That's a great idea. That's common sense. That sort of shit we should be doing. Some of the other things I don't agree with, but he's not all his ideas are bad. It's just it causes some arse twitching and nervousness in the UK and Europe at large when he starts talking about invading one of his allies who put their own troops and treasure and blood to help when Article 5 was triggered in Afghan. That's not what we would expect of a friend.
Which, by the way, was the only time that Article 5 has been triggered was after 9/11 by us to help the Americans. That's the only. And so for Trump to kind of say, well, I don't think they would come to your defense if we needed it. Well, we did. And, we paid for that in blood and money. So that's not entirely true either. I mean, I'm no massive fan of Trump. I'm neither a fan nor against him. I'm not American, so I kind of don't care. And if I was American, I probably would have voted for him over Kamala Harris. That's a given.
Yeah.
And I mean, I support America more than, of course, Russia and China, because to me, Americans are kind of just us, only the same language, the same ancestors. We're basically the same. And then Europeans are kind of similar as well. I'm European in that sense, although I'm not really into the EU thing. And I would never go anywhere near the French. But other than that,
Waffle House and dollar store.
It's hard to sit back as a European or even a British person, listen to all of the America First things and say, okay, that's fine, but we're not American, so we have to pay attention to what's going on in the world, especially when you're prodding all the bears around about us as well, because the world is interconnected. You can't just have an American first policy, no matter to hell with the rest of the world. I'm just going to do everything to protect America. Okay, fine, you do that. But eventually it's going to start interfering with us and our safety and our protection. So we're going to have to react. We're going to have to pay attention.
Yeah. Scoop the White Adder says, Happy New Year, everyone. My opinion, if USA invaded Greenland, NATO, I believe, will expel the USA and conservative all US assets in the UK and Europe. What's Trump going to do then? I don't think
so.
I don't think our government would have even a slight bit of scrotum to do that.
No, they don't have the balls.
NATO is the same as the coalition of the willing, where it's all talk, but if anything does happen, no one will come to back it up. Yeah, that coalition of the willing. Honestly, I on the video I've done and not released, I said it just feels like Starmer and Macron going, "Oh, Trump's in all the headlines. Let's make it look like we're doing something," because they've turned around and said, if there's a peace deal agreed, Ukraine and Russia, then we will put troops on the ground. A, what fucking troops? B,
exactly.
What are you going to give them with no equipment? And 3, the fact you've just said that means Putin's not going to agree to peace. Because why would he agree to peace? To get NATO troops on his border? Absolute coalition of the retarded. That's what it is. Sorry. Regarding Greenland, you have to remember that the most likely vector for incoming ICBMs from Russia would be over the North Pole, and Greenland would give strategic advantage for early warning. We agree
again,
with that.
they can put that stuff there now. This is the thing that people are not understanding. They can have early warning radar systems there. They have them now. They could put missiles there if they want. They could build a huge navy base there if they want right now. They could send hundreds of thousands of troops there right now under the current agreement. Nobody's stopping them doing that.
No, this is it. Andy, if it happens and it all goes Pete Tong and NATO dissolves, what does no NATO look like for us with our under budgeted military and stuff like that? How bad of an effect does that have on us as a country individually, do you think?
To be fair, mate, I don't think there will be much difference.
We'd still be screwed.
Because personally, mate, I think NATO's been dead for past 2 decades.
Right.
Or since 2000. I think NATO's been dead. And it's only been there in name only. I don't think it would, on the ground, mate, at least, I don't think it would make there would be much difference, to be honest.
Do we lose that deterrent though because we've not got...
I don't think it is, mate. I generally don't think it is. I don't think NATO is a deterrent.
No. Do you think people don't believe that America would come to the rescue anyway?
Yeah, and I think more importantly, mate, I think the people who would be an existential threat to the UK, so in terms of Russia, China, they know how much of a sorry state we're in. And it's not just us, mate. I think collectively all the European NATO countries, how poor of a state we're in and how over-reliant we've been on the US.
Yeah.
Over the past 4 decades, pretty much, really. And they've let them do all their heavy lifting. Now you've got a guy who doesn't want to do the heavy lifting anymore. And he's saying we should pull our own weight.
It's hard to concentrate with Brian, keep touching our faces.
No, I'm just about to start kicking people for the chat, mate.
And so I don't think we would see a difference, mate, to be honest.
Well, yeah, I mean, I feel like, yeah, I think you're right in that sense, but I still think the thought of NATO keeps us safer than we realize. But if literally it sets that precedent as he can invade a country and do nothing, like I say, it kind of puts everyone at risk that way.
To be fair, mate, like you said there, that threat of NATO keeps us safe. If anything does happen, mate, with Greenland, that threat's gone.
Yeah, exactly. And probably's not as instantly affecting us, but I'd probably worry more about the Baltic states right on the border of Russia and stuff like that. You know, if there's, I don't know how it's...
NATO's one big bluff anyway, really, when you think about it. So the idea was always, okay, if one country is attacked, we take that as if we're all attacked and we all somehow retaliate. So, I mean, can you imagine somebody phoning Trump and saying, Russia have just nuked the Balkans or nuked Poland even, right? Should we now nuke Russia, but they will definitely nuke us and we're all going to die? Trump would probably say, who are you even talking about? What are you going on about? They're not going to end the world effectively over these countries, I don't think. I don't think they ever would genuinely, go to that extent. So from that point of view, it was always a bit of a bluff anyway. And even the Russians had this idea of a tactical nuclear war could be fought in Europe, where it wasn't an all-out mad type thing. It was localized to certain countries within Eastern Europe. If Russia invaded or nuked an Eastern European country, would Britain, France, and America nuke Russia? I doubt it. I mean, I just don't believe it would happen. We'd maybe go to war or do something, but there wouldn't be a nuclear exchange, I don't think.
I think you're right.
And Britain out of NATO, if NATO disappeared tomorrow, I mean, the biggest threat to the UK from a genuine militaristic point of view is Russia. It used to be Germany for pretty much the entirety of the last century, but let's say it's Russia. Okay, Germany and British military spending, even at what it currently is just now, is still larger than Russia's. The Russian economy is just the size of Italy, right? That Russia's not as big a threat to us. Take away Russia's nuclear weapons. What are they? They're not going to be able to mass mobilize across Europe and reach us all the way over here. It just isn't going to happen. They can't even hold most of Eastern Ukraine. So other than take away the nuclear weapons aspect of it and the geopolitical part of it, do we even need NATO? China, on the other hand, will pretty much start dominating.
I mean, what you're talking about, though, is always been the case for militaries across all of time. And what happens is if they take a country, that country's military men, resources, then bolster that military to then give it enough to move on to the next country. And that's how it works that way. Right now, you're right. They haven't got a military. If we're talking about the Risk board game again, they've not got enough men to spread across and leave one in each country and get to us with any fighting force. But if every country, they're enveloping that, they're creating more military, more troops, more regiments, military vehicles, etc., every step of the way, essentially, by the time they reach the channel, if they ever got that far, they'd be massive, huge. Like
they just need to jump in the boats with the rest of them. They wouldn't even need the tanks.
Yeah, you just look at. I mean, obviously, it's completely different warfare these days and age. Don't get me wrong; I completely understand it's different warfare. I'm just using it as an example. But if you look at World War II, that's how Germany did it. Germany didn't start with this massively overpopulated country that had enough troops to marshal the entire of Europe. By the time they were out that far, they had French troops, Italian troops, Spanish troops, Polish troops, so they literally recruited along the path, recruited by force a lot of the time, but recruited along the path. Before we carry on, someone said, why can I only see half the comments in the chat and not the featured comments? That's because it's streaming on all of our channels. So whichever channel you're on, you'll only see that chat, unfortunately. So there's not much we can do about that. You'll only see the chat of the channel you're on. We just highlight what we can. With regards to highlighting comments, I'm so far behind. I'm going to miss a load. I apologize. It's an interesting topic. Please block capitals and super chats if you want to get noticed, and I'll try and get to you. So that's the option.
It's not good enough, Mike. You need to get a finger out.
I'm doing everything here. I'm doing everything. I need an assistant.
Do
Where's
it better.
JP? Where's JP?
It is an interesting subject, though, and it is a motive because everybody's got really strong opinions, and it encompasses finance, self-interest, nationalistic pride and fervour, and a lot of fear and unknown. So it will have strong opinions from everybody.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. And it can be very instantly misinterpreted, like we said, as us having a dig at certain countries and stuff. And most of us here, apart from our own country, are on the fence with when it comes to politics, and we generally don't go too far down that rabbit hole. But most people in England can agree England's fucked. So, but sorry, the UK as a whole. But other than that, we try to stay away from the politics. So please don't misconstrue us just having a discussion. No NATO then, Alan. Do you think would it change the way we have to prep and think about things? Is it more? Are we going to be on a higher level of alert in general?
I think we would have to change the way we prep to some extent because it would change the landscape. I mean, here's the other thing. If NATO disappears, I think you'll see a race to federalization of the European Union, and you already have the pro-European, the people who have blue flags on their their Facebook posts and stuff. They love the idea of a federalized Europe with an EU army, which would effectively just replace European NATO. Britain wouldn't be part of that. We would be kicking and screaming our way, away from that, and that would isolate us even more. So Britain ultimately, once again, like after the Second World War, could be the biggest loser out of all of this because we're stuck in the middle of a federalized Europe and a nationalized America doing their own thing, and we're stuck bang in the middle.
I'd rather join the Americans, to be honest. I'd rather be like the 52nd state, or whatever they wanted to call it. If that was the choices between Europe or that, I'll go with the Yanks.
I think on
there you
balance, go. So would I, to be honest, on balance.
It says, we are sitting on the best quality oil in the world. Can we be next, please, Mr. President? Remove our dictator. That's from Mark's Adventures.
A funny thing, I was listening to a podcast a while ago where they laid out all of Trump's reasons for taking Greenland. And do you know every single one of those reasons could be attributed towards Scotland? He could literally annex Scotland for exactly the same reasons that he justifies the annexation of Greenland.
Please, my wife loves Florida. Bring it on. The passport alone is worth it. You can have it.
Wait till I move. Wait till I get the land.
Us as individuals prepping, how would we do that though? I mean, I don't think materialistically it would change too much, but I think what we would have to do is take a look at how we get a lot of our services, for example. Even things like, somebody was talking about having Starlink at work today, and I was thinking that it's entirely US controlled. And then you've got the Chinese influence when it comes to like Chinese motor vehicles and AI and things like that. I think we would have to start dividing our resources based, or looking at our own personal preps based on the origin of where those preps came from, when they came to things like power banks or cars or technological type things, and also for parts in the future. If some sort of mass blockade was to take place and suddenly we couldn't get any Chinese parts anymore or any Chinese technology, if you've got a house full of Chinese preps, DJI Phantoms coming out your ears and power banks from DJI and all this kind of stuff. Suddenly you can't get any parts for it. Yeah. I mean, who's to say there's no software updates? There's nothing. And suddenly you have to now find the British alternative to that, which will be clunky and made of garbage probably. Can you imagine it?
The new trying to say about British ingenuity, we could definitely make something. It might cost you 72 times the price, but we could make it.
Yeah.
Here's the new British Kindle. Look, here it is. That'll be it there.
In some ways, when it comes to the electronic stuff, it might actually be worth considering. Maybe I should buy a British version of it if there's one available. I don't know if I don't know what the best British-made power bank is, if there even is one. But maybe we should think about, if you're going to buy a power bank, maybe you should buy one that's sourced. All the parts are sourced in the country of origin.
I mean, yeah, it's definitely food for thought in that aspect. Do you think much will change, Andy, if they take Greenland? Do you think it's going to affect us? Like, I mean, I know you say NATO is name only now, but I mean, it's going to affect a lot of relationships, right? And trade agreements, surely.
Yes, but like Brian said earlier, mate, they're not going to do anything to Trump, the British government, at all. They're terrified of him. So Starmer might go on the podium, mate, in front of number 10 and say how he thinks it's wrong and how he thinks he should reconsider his actions and how we should stop this course and take another one. But that's all you're going to get. We're definitely not taking any assets, mate. We're definitely not trying to impose any sanctions. We've got to sanction anyway.
We'll stop.
You know what I mean?
We'll stop sending you engineers and doctors. I don't know what.
Yeah, threaten with them. So no, I don't think. But I mean, even when Starmer said, mate, about if there's a peace deal, we'll send troops to Ukraine.
What a lot of pish.
The man, right, mate, has no idea.
Yeah.
So if you want 1,000 fighting troops, right, to go, the rule is, mate, you need to times that by 3 for support. So if you've got 1,000 lads fighting on the ground, you need 2,000 people behind them to support them. So you've got lads fighting, then you need them to be replaced for downtime because you can't fight for 6 months indefinitely. Then you've got the people behind them, mate, support, front line support, as in me, so artillery people.
Yeah.
Then you've got the people behind that, mate. You've got logistics, you've got drivers, you've got all that type of stuff, right? So you have all. So let me get because I know people in the chat room, mate, don't like me bashing the military for whatever reason, right? And they don't like my numbers, right? The government, yeah. So the government's own numbers, right, mate? The government's own numbers are the MOD's, right? So the number of fully deployable combat troops we have, yeah. So that's infantry, that's artillery, that's all support elements, right? Is 18,000.
What?
Wow. So that's all we have. Is 18,000 combat deployable troops, right? So if you think about, right, so at the minute, yeah,
that's worse than I thought.
So that's 6,000 fighting at any one time, right? Then if you divide that by
that's
3.
true, mate. Yeah. So if you take that as of today, right, mate, we are the British Army or the British forces, right, are currently in Estonia and Poland, peacekeeping in Cyprus. We're still doing counter-terrorism stuff in the Middle East, in Iraq. We're still based in Kenya, Brunei, and Belize. We've still got commitments in the Falklands and Gibraltar. And the Navy, mate, are doing a lot in the Indo-Pacific, right, and around Africa. So you've got all of those resources being drained on the British Army, yeah? And they're not ending, mate, anytime soon. In Estonia alone, mate, you've pretty much got close to division level resources being donated to it. So the head of the chief of staff, mate, last week said we could only afford to send a battalion. So a battalion, mates, between 500 to 1,000. So if we go straight down the middle and say there's 750 troops, what good is that going to do, mate, to the border of Ukraine? If you had, and then, mate, it was even crazier idea than that. He said, well, if we can only have 750 there, what we'll do is we'll forward deploy like we did to Germany. So we can have more troops based there and families can live there. What guy, mate, in his right mind is going to go up who's missing, say, Grey Person here? We're going to go and live in Ukraine for 3 years but don't worry because you and the kids can come.
Yeah,
Do you know what I
yeah,
mean?
all right. I'll take my kids to
Absolutely.
Ukraine.
Fucking honestly,
You can't, Mike. With the amount of kids you've got, the Russians would see it as an invasion. Mike and his 6,000 children are coming to take us over.
like it's absolutely insane the fact that he thinks we have the capability to do any of that. And then on top of that, mate, so just before Christmas, so John Healey, mate,
sorry to interrupt. How's he convincing Macron this is even possible then? I feel like we're back to inflatable tanks in a field, so it looks like we've got more than we have.
I think it generally comes down to the fact of the public, mate, by and large, don't care about defence. They really don't, which is why it's always the first thing to get stripped. The British public, mate, do not want money spent on tanks, planes, better conditions for troops. They just don't want it, mate. It's probably it wouldn't even make the top 10, would it? Probably wouldn't even make the top 20 if you went round and spoke to the general population, mate, just to the poll and said, what are your top 10 priorities that you want the government to spend the budget on?
Oh, yeah.
It's not going to be the top 10.
Yeah,
exactly,
yeah,
mate. It's not going to be in the top 10. So him and Macron getting together and saying, to be fair, mate, I think there's an element of whatever said's a good soundbite. And by and large, the public don't care. So it's not as if it's going to be, a negative impact to them.
I mean, they must know saying that in the first place, though, just means the chance of a peace agreement is slim to nil, right?
Yeah. But then also, mate, so last year, John Healey did that strategic defence review. Yeah. And everything was costed, yeah? Mm-hmm. So before the government broke up for Christmas, the Chief of General Staff and his team did their own strategic defence review, right? And right before Christmas, they handed it to Starmer, and there was a £28 billion shortfall. And allegedly, he kicked off with that and said, how on earth have you come to the realisation that I'm £28 billion short when my defence minister, defence secretary...
My super qualified panel.
everything's costed. And obviously, the Chief of Defence Staff and his team are like, well, we're on the ground. We know what things cost. We know the procurement service. We know what we have. And like I've said all along, mate, the numbers that the MOD pump out and the numbers that the government pumped out are not real and are not honest to what the lads on the ground are reporting. It's just not true. So not only do we have a £28 billion shortfall, we also don't have anyone to send to do this supposed peacekeeping option in Ukraine anyway.
I mean, if people open their eyes, they can see stuff like this everywhere. The amount of abandoned military bases that scatter the UK now, that these urbex explorers always end up going into and stuff like that. And now we've got bases that are just so underutilized, we're going to replace hotels with military bases and stick a load of engineers and doctors into them as well. It's just, it just goes to show, like, the fact they don't need that space anymore means where the hell is all the men and equipment that used to occupy them to capacity gone? It's just absolutely. How do we change that though, Andy? That's the thing. Is him saying that meaning if he has to back it up, he's going to stupidly and wrongly, in my opinion, introduce conscription to do so?
No, I don't think he's mixed. Like I said before, the public, mate, there is no public will or political will to implement that. Nobody wants it. It's just a non-starter, mate. And to be fair, I've always said, I've always been quite, consistent on the point that I'm not a fan of conscription anyway. I don't think it's a good idea.
No.
But it's just not on anyone's. It's just and rightly so, mate. Everybody, I come at it from that point of view, and I think it should be spent because obviously that's my background. Whereas obviously Brian's background's power grid, energy. And Brian's always saying about how the power grid needs to be updated, infrastructure needs to be done, and rightly so it does. Then you've probably got EVAC in the Discord who works at the NHS. Rightly so, mate. They probably think the budget should be more spent on the NHS looking after people. And rightly so. I would say, mate, but in the public, the NHS and the power grid, mate, far outweigh with the general public. And to be fair, mate, if I didn't serve, I would probably be like Brian and Evac, and I would say that's what needs to be spent. Because
it's what you see, it's what affects you directly, right? And we've lived in such a time of where most people alive in the UK at this point haven't seen the effects of war, the direct effects of war, World War II. We've got very few World War II veterans left. I know we had rationing for quite a period afterwards, so they would have seen them knock-on effects for a lot of people. But the actual direct effects of war, that generation is almost gone. And I know we say lest we forget and never forget, you know, and stuff like that. But the generation coming through just don't give a shit. It's not a case of forget; they just don't care. Yeah, and
I know my rights.
The normalcy bias is we live in a peaceful time.
Do you know the easy way to fix this? See the big book of woke pish that we come out with and add to, right? Honest to God, I've lost that book, the ad. Right. Here's a big book. It's full of pink hair and arseholes sticking themselves to the fucking road, right? Why don't we rip this pish up and go back to the book of common sense? And that common sense is pretty simple. Everybody that can work should work. You're not getting a mobility car because you stubbed your toe or you've got PTSD because you saw somebody taking a shit outside. Everybody can work, should work. If we get the social welfare bill down and we stop taking people into the country who shouldn't fucking be here, then we'll have money for defence and the NHS and all the other stuff that we should be spending it on, rather than 15 billion for hotel bills. And our American friends don't understand, but we can't comment on a lot of the shit that goes on in the UK because we'll get deplatformed. Right? That's a simple fact. But there's a lot of things could be changed overnight and should be changed overnight. And that doesn't make the comments racist or anything else. It's just common sense. Things need to change so we can spend money on the things that actually matter. Defence for Andy, the NHS for evac, and keeping the lights on for me. Simple.
Did you see the independent survey that the population of the UK will be like it's 74 million by 2030?
I mean, to be fair, mate, you know, like you said there about how do we sort it, even if, mate, they said tomorrow, right, we're going to sort this and we're going to sort the defence out. Like Brian said, you're 20 years behind with the infrastructure. How far do you think we are behind with defence? Even worse than that. And also, the economy is so short that the money's not there to fix it.
No.
So,
this is it. Well, I mean, the economy is a whole separate debate at some point, I'm sure. But I mean, in my opinion, what we need is what the kind of did when Trump came in with Doge, the Department of Government Efficiency. We need that in such a bad way, because the money for let's take the NHS as example, right? Before anyone jumps on my back, my sister is a nurse, my stepmom is a nurse. My family also work in the mental health care system and carers. All right. So I have big ties to it and I have great respect for them.
Mike is also in there every year having a kid. So he knows very well.
They have a birthing suite named after me.
We could sort the NHS funding out by getting you the snip, mate. That would stop the resources and spending overnight. That would save about 2 billion right away.
Shocking. Leave my cover of children alone. Yeah, no, it is that efficiency, because if you the bill for the government workers, for civil servants and stuff, is through the roof, and it's lots of them are sat there twiddling their thumbs because there's not even a job there. You honestly go on the civil service jobs and have a look at some of the job descriptions, and you're like, oh, is this even a job? It feels like it's a 10-minute task of somebody else's job, but it's just madness. Then in the NHS, you've got the same system, where it's nothing to do with the nurses or the doctors, the frontline workers. It's to do with the administration, the IT, the management. And by the time, if you say we're going to give 1 billion to the NHS, by the time it reaches the point it needs to reach, it's half that at least. After it's siphoned through all the departments and they've took their little slice out of it, it's nothing to do with money plus NHS, and we need to give them more. We need to sort out the funnel between. We need to stop throwing money into a fucking holy bucket. We need to patch the holes, then refund it.
I think you could double the finances of the NHS, and it wouldn't be a better service.
No, exactly.
I don't think it would change at all. We have 14-hour waiting lists in A&E in Scotland on the regular on a weekday. That's just normal here. You're effectively saying A&E is closed. You can't have a 14-hour delay. That's just, you're just closed then, you know?
Yeah. So with my last child, you know, number 37, she was rushed into Blackburn Hospital during the pregnancy with a heart rate of 136, 138. Yeah. And it was just a super high heart rate and just kept going up and up and stuff like that. And she was rushed in there. We sat in a bed in a corridor right next to the bullpen where all the doctors and nurses have the computers and they're running out to the wards right there. And she was there for 28 hours, something like that, expecting to sleep, with doctors running past, bashing her feet all the time as they were coming through. Some poor old dear was down the end of the corridor having an examination of a doctor in a corridor where people were walking up and down and other patients were in the bed. When we eventually got moved into the floor above, which had beautiful glass rooms with wards and sliding doors, completely empty. All fully equipped, completely empty, right above this overcrowded room. It's nothing to do with money going in there. It's to do with it's not being run right. It's as simple as that. Anyway,
we're covering all the topics tonight.
I love the doctors and nurses. It's nothing to do with that. It's
not even.
Yeah, but it's a terrible service, though. If it's a service, it's not a very good one.
Sorry.
I mean, if you look at the Ajax program, mate, that's $5.5 billion that's been spunked down the drain.
Yep.
We were working the day, mate, talking about it, and there's lads, mate, now they've been medically discharged using that for because they've lost the hearing, right? And they've turned around, Dynamic, mate, have turned around and said, just wear double the amount of ear defense. Like, do you know what I mean? And it's been that bit itself has been pushed through because officers, mate, high up in the British Army have been offered high-paying jobs with the Dynamic at the end of their career. So it's not just the civil service, mate, everything, mate, that's being run has been affected with corruption, everything. And like you say, the $5.5 billion, mate, on the Ajax program that doesn't work, the tracks fall off. Lads are being injured, losing the hearing, and that's for £5.5 billion, mate. The best they can come up with is wear double the amount of ear defense,
and yet they're still scrapping Warrior.
Honestly, Bri,
didn't they say £10 billion was getting spent over 3 years on hotel accommodation and taxis for the illegal immigrants as well? I mean, £10 billion is a lot of bloody money. You know, I'm sure that could be funneled into the NHS in a more strategic way.
You can pull up the most ridiculous stats. Wasn't one hotel spending £40,000 on disposable vapes for them, or something like that? That was.
And you can't get an appointment for a GP or a dentist, but they're going into the hotels.
Have you guys seen some of the Somalian scam that's taking place in the US? I think we've got some of those kind of scams going on here as well. You know, for sure.
I've not seen that. What's that?
You know what?
I've seen it.
There's entire communities in the US. I think they're pretty much of Somalian origin, but they basically have fake daycare centers, completely made up daycare centers. Well, there's no children there or anything, but billions of dollars worth of funding has been going to these Somalians. I think they're Somalians, and it's been growing for years. And it's billions of dollars for fake daycare centers and all sorts of other stupid things that are going on there, and it's been uncovered now. Of course, the mainstream liberal media aren't covering any of it, but you only have to take a look at other media, and you hear all about it. And it's actually been farcical as well, because at one point they had the image of this guy on who ran a daycare center, and they were saying, okay, well, if you have all these children and you're getting all this hundreds of millions of dollars, we'll just take a look at your records, and see what's coming in, what's going out, your books. We'll take a look at your books, The very next day he was on TV. Unfortunately, we got broke into last night and they stole all our paperwork. That's what robbers do. That's what criminals do. Yeah, criminals, they go in there and they steal the accountant books, But
that sounds like the UK government, to be honest. That's the sort of shit they came out with.
That kind of stuff is rife in the US, and Doge sort of weeded a lot of that crap out. That 100% happens in this country as well.
Yeah, for sure.
That's why I say that's what we need. That's what we need. Preparing the Path rightly said Blackburn is a shithole. Yeah, and funnily enough, surprisingly, one of the biggest and nicest hospitals in the area has been built in that shithole. So that's interesting.
Yeah, I went to Blackburn University for a year. It is a shithole. I was like the odd man out in a packet of dolly mixtures.
Just see it in the comments. Apparently, it was in Minnesota, and it was $18 billion effectively stolen by an organized scam. $18 billion. Mental.
Or the daycare thing, yeah. Yes, in Minnesota, says Joshua. Yeah, they're all getting that. The problem with any government-run service is that they have managers merging managers, managing managers. You get the point. Exactly. Yeah, 100%. 100%. Yeah. Was uncovered in one state, how now revealed as nationwide, says Ash Brown.
Wow.
Absolute madness. Absolute madness.
So what's the fix? I mean, it seems to be there's a lot of shit going wrong, and the populations on our American friends' side and our side, everybody's pretty hacked off with a lot of the same sort of issues. So what is the fix?
Implosion.
Because just for clarity, the problem with the fix in the UK is we're not allowed to voice an opinion or you're badged as some sort of racist, which is not the case at all.
So that is the hurdle that we have to get over to fix anything in this country, right? And the problem we have is, I say this with as a general vaguing, all right? So I'm not going to name names, I'm not going to say who, but the problem we have is the people that are willing to stand up to the establishment are en masse, you know, few and far between. Most people want to sit back and just not get involved. Now, the personalities / celebrities that could rally people to stand up to the establishment never take it beyond something that gets them popularity or fame.
Yes.
Yeah. It's all well and good having 3 million people march through London to make a point for it to be dismissed the next day, and the government don't care and nothing changes. So what you did is organize a great rally and you've made a great name for yourself, excellent stuff like that, but nothing's gone further and nothing will go further. And I'm not trying to push anything. I'm not saying, you know, rise up masses and stuff like that, but the people that can do that and the people that can make a difference, nowhere to be seen. Most of them, lots of the antagonists for the UK on YouTube live in Spain or live in Portugal or live somewhere because they have to, because it's political asylum, but they're going to come on and they're going to tell us in the UK to do this and do that and stand up to it while they're safely sat in their house in Spain. So bite my ass, either come over here and rally people properly or shut the fuck up.
I think, mate, the biggest problem we have is there's such apathy for politics in this country, and it's the low number of turnout. The people, mate, who are genuinely fed up, I really think, mate, have got so much apathy now for politicians, and it's a case of if I vote for you, and you say you're going to do X, you're just going to do Y. So why would I go out and vote for you? And
that's why we had the lowest turnout ever.
Yep,
in the last election,
isn't it? Yes, I think is, and there's also a case of, mate, like weirdly in this country, I don't know what it's like in other countries, we have a thing of your family will just vote Labour for 10 generations, irrespective of what they're doing, and it'll be, oh well, my great granddad voted Labour, so now I vote Labour. Yeah, well, what, do you agree with the policies? It doesn't matter. I'm just Labour supporter. So
you've set them off.
Combination, mate, of the two.
I'm on the verge. I fell out with family for that very reason.
Yeah.
Oh, I've always been a Labour voter. I would have been a Labour voter. I would have been a Labour voter back in the 70s because they were the working man's party. They're not anymore. It's as simple as that. It is no longer that party. They're nothing to do with the working man.
No matter which one you vote for, they're a shower of shit. They tell that many lies to get in. And then when you get in, it's, here's the new guy, exactly the same as the last guy. A lying sack of self-serving shit.
You know why? So what we need to do is all MPs' salary should be what they class in their own documents as the national living wage, right? If they think we can live off that, that's what they get.
Yes.
You're providing a public service, you have enough money to live on, fine, we'll give you expenses, you can have a little apartment in Westminster just so you can think of that, that's it. But other than that, you're getting this minimum wage. But what happens is they actually get into power as an MP, they're getting £100,000 a year as their salary, plus the expenses, plus the cars, plus the second homes and everything else, all the benefits, and they go,
must be tough, huh?
actually, I don't want to rock the boat because I'm quite enjoying this fucking life of luxury.
You know what it should be, mate? You know, there's one of the lads, I won't say on the externally, wants people to know, but people in the Discord chat know. There's one of the lads, mate, who's a local councillor, and they're getting allowance, don't they, for being a councillor.
Yeah.
Right? That's what it should be, mate, for an MP. I don't understand it why in this day and age now, right? Like, COVID, mate, for a lot of things, mate, expose a lot of things as well in terms of why do they need £100,000 salary, right, mate? Why can't they have a 100-room Zoom meeting where no one's shouting over the top of you then? If it's PMQs, every mic's muted apart from the PMs. He says what he wants, his mic's muted, then the opposition gets a response. That could be broadcast live. No need to go to London. No need to do anything. If you want, when they're doing a vote on something, they log on the computer, click whatever you want. Yes for the bill, no for the bill. Scrap all of it, mate. You can have a normal job like the fucking rest of us. And when you finish work, you can have your allowance and you log onto your computer and you say yep or no for what bill it is. And that's what it should be.
I love that idea.
Go down there every day.
I don't think MPs historically back in the day they didn't get a salary. I don't believe. I think they actually were. It was like a noble thing to be. It was you were doing like a public service, and then slowly but surely it became like a career thing. You know, a career politician. And the centralisation in London, like you say, I mean that's just a disaster. I mean, there is no reason they don't need to go to London anymore. They could do it like a giant Zoom meeting or something.
Yeah,
a free bar. That's why there's a free bar after the.
There's bloody free everything there. They'll have free.
That's why Farage. Yeah. That's why Farage is most often not sat in there. He's there. He's just at the free bar.
Yeah, but I don't understand why that can't be a thing, mate.
No. I agree with you 100%.
It's a great idea. Sign me up.
Because they don't actually have any power, do they?
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? Like where your constituency is, it isn't as if like they have overarching powers to implement stuff, do they? Like they don't actually have any power to do anything. So I don't know why you get paid 100 grand.
I don't know who my local MP is, but I guarantee they're twats and they get paid a shitload. But I have no idea who that person is.
I mean, I knew mine when I used to live in my last. I don't know it now, but I expect it's somebody I won't like with knowing the area. But it's the problem is, Andy, is there's people that go into politics with exactly what you're saying, with that kind of idea, that ideology. I want to do good. I want to make a difference. I want to make a change. And then they get in and they get enticed and look at all the expenses scandal, look at the clothing, look at the housing, look at everything that's happened in the last year with this Labour government who are coming in to do all this good. And the enticement is just there and it's just taken. I'm not saying I'm not a sellout. Any sponsors,
you know what it should be, mate, as well?
To sell out for the right price. But it's
you know what it should be, mate, as well. To curb that, you should only be allowed to do one term, 5-year sitting. That's it.
Yeah, I mean,
the next person, because you don't need to do multiple terms.
But the people who make them rules, who to change them, are already in that power, so they've already gone through that process. So how does it ever get? Who sits there with the 130, 140 grand salary, going, "What we should do is put us all onto minimum wage." For all the eyes, you ain't gonna fucking happen. That's the problem.
To be fair, mate,
it's not gonna happen.
There's a comment there by man JP8QV. A great comment, mate. Says being an MP should be same as jury duty. That mate would be perfect.
Yes.
Every 5 years, a list comes out. 140 people picked, right? User MPs for 5 years.
There was another good comment. Josh, I can't remember the rest of his appellation, was if you can't balance the budget, you don't get any money yourself. If you can't manage the finances, then there's no money for you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, then they would just make cuts, so there was money left for them. So there's corruption potential there as well. I like the idea of what you say, but I would attach one caveat of you have to have an IQ test. Because if we get 140 complete idiots,
who was the one? Who was the lady with the glasses? Sorry,
there's a mint comment there. Durex to sponsor Mike. I think that's a banging idea. Sorry, Brian, go on.
I can't remember the lady's name. She was a Labour MP.
I'd be the worst glasses for Durex.
And she was an absolute walking vegetable, right? I mean, I'm convinced she must have stuffed blue cranes up her nostrils as a child. She was literally thick as mince. So the IQ
is like Diane Abbott you're talking
about. That's her. That's it.
Nice.
Walking proof that, you should never marry a relative, right? She was not the sharpest nail in the box. So
Oh, yeah.
how there's got to be an aptitude test, surely, that you can write your name with a fucking crayon for a start. And she
talk
would have
about-
failed it.
Talk about career politician, because she was actually she's the, I think they call it the mother of the house, which is the longest serving female MP in Parliament or something. So she's like a full-on career politician, been there for God knows how long. And even though her salary will probably be something like, I don't know, say it's 100 grand a year or something, she's a millionaire. You know, how did that happen? Because they have all these lobbies going on and inside trading going on and little deals going on and all sorts of other stuff. You know, it's not because people were buying her badly written, ghost written book. It's because, you know, they're all crooks.
Two left shoes, Diane. Was that was a photo
That's
captured,
her.
wasn't it?
Yeah, that was a real thing. She actually came out wearing two left shoes.
I'd like to say that I'm surprised, but I'm not.
That's what we put in charge.
Somebody put a comment in, Mike. Can we pull it back to prepping and what you're prepping for in 2026?
What that? No, I like this conversation. We did that. That was the last Fireside, so feel free to go and watch the last Fireside, where it was what we're prepping for in 2026. What we're talking about is current events. So we've covered, we've solved America's problems. So there we go. We've solved our political problems when Trump comes in and makes us the 51st state or 52nd after Greenland.
Our healthcare would work at least. Cost more, but at least it would work.
Second Amendment.
Yeah, bring it on. Bring it on.
I'm all for that.
I'm just happy that I'll be able to move state to state without having to go through the green card application. So I'll just be gone. So see you later. This country's problems are vast. Andy's just gone through the military numbers, which are absolutely dire.
It's appalling.
Which is ridiculous, which we're apparently going to increase the funding on, and we're going to implement the military gap year for students so they can go and be in the military for a year, which is ridiculous because none of them are going to take the option. But Brian, you put a video out the other day I just want to touch on as well. I'm itching to talk about power, I'm sure.
Was it my OnlyFans one?
It was was it 44% chance of the grid going down completely?
Oh yeah, loss of load probability. So the NATO, so the people we trust to look after the energy networks had put out a loss of load probability of 44%, that the following day they were predicting that there was a 44% chance that our demand on the grid for what we need in terms of power would not be met by what we produce or import. And funnily enough, the exact same thing happened at the exact same date last year. And the fundamental cause was we lost wind. So all these big, stupid, bloody wind turbines that we've got a protracted cold spell. Exact same thing happened last year. Well, a protracted cold spell, people's got their heating on, and the wind died. Therefore, they predicted that there was nearly a 50-50 chance that we'd have to take demand control measures, which would start off at varying the frequency and could end up at the extreme case of an unplanned brownout or having to shut off by postcode. So, rota disconnection. As it turned out, it didn't happen because we were saved at the last minute by a mini storm coming up from the Channel Islands, and we got an extra 12 gigawatts of capacity. But that's twice now.
The irony that the storm saved us.
But the thing is, the storm only saved us by not being too windy, because if it had been too windy, the turbines would have feathered and shut down so that it didn't go over speed and damage the turbines. So, and when the turbines do shut down, we need to then make curtailment payments and pay the power companies for not being able to export the power that they would have done if the bloody things were turning. So, yeah, that's what it was.
And are we out the woods?
No,
Are we in the clear?
It's only the middle of winter. If we get another protracted cold spell, if we have another issue where wind is, just so you know, we were running at 25 gigawatts of production for gas-fired power stations. If we'd had an unplanned outage, so the plan is they will put out a demand notice to the energy producers and say, we're we're predicting a shortfall. We need you to ramp up production. And they would run the turbines and the machines harder. If you're running something harder that's not normally doing that, you've got an increased chance of a breakdown or a mechanical failure, an unplanned outage, which makes your power situation worse. It's a real shit show, the grid. It's a real shit show. And also, last year, ironically, as it turned out, the companies that we pay money to sit and produce and turn on power should we need it when the shit's a fan, when they put out the demand notice last year, the companies that were contracted to give you the extra energy when you need it, they couldn't give it because they were already selling it to the market because it was such a high rate. So the plans in place to give you extra energy when you needed it wouldn't have worked. Then they lied about it and denied it after the event, and were found out to be full of shit then as well. So yeah, that's what happened.
And this is why Brian preps more power banks than curries. I got a message from Graham on PayPal, said tried to send a super chat but it wouldn't go. The message said let's all open a Pepsi Max and let it all blow over. Thank you for the donation there, Graham. Appreciate that one. But I'm not going to open a Pepsi Max. I'm going to open a Freeway Cola Double X.
What the hell is that?
That is
crap.
that's Lidl's finest, mate.
Ugh.
That's what you're doing. I'm even on Lidl water. Listen, Lidl
That's drain cleaner.
Lidl is
Some
the
of the-
sponsor of this show.
Some of the comments there, get nuclear. Yes, I'm entirely on board with that. The problem is the last nuclear power infrastructure programme that the UK's ran is 10 years overdue, and it's double the predicted budget. And in between that, we've got activists complaining because Fluffy the brown squirrel, his habitat has been upset, and they paid something like 15 billion to move a fucking marshland. So this is the sort of shit that we're up against. But the same tree-hugging arseholes that are complaining, I'd love to see them when the lights go out. And Vanessa Kitty, yes, we do have solar over here. Sorry,
Yeah.
that's me done.
In the meantime, China build 24 nuclear power stations and have super centers for the AI boom that's about to come. But it's red tape, bureaucracy, and corruption that's preventing us from doing that. Not just the hippies. I mean, it's just
bloody
pure-
health
pure
and safety. That's what it is.
Yeah, I mean,
We
remember the bat tunnel that cost 200 million that never even got built.
Yeah.
For H2.
we could be energy independent. We've got enough gas in the North Sea that we could be building gas-fired stations that are still relatively clean burning. But we're not. We've shut all that shit down. More short-sighted bollocks.
Yep. Yeah. 50 panels installed here. Nice. Right. So yeah, blackouts, cold spells, impending doom, NATO collapse, war. Anything else, gents? Have we got any other topics we want to bring up tonight?
The Berlin fire was a good one. The activists, that was interesting.
Oh yeah, I mean, I expect to see a lot more of that. So we know I live 2 minutes down the road from where the synagogue attack was, and I live in an area where the threat of that is quite high. And the one in Berlin was more the left-wing activists, right? If I'm rightly saying.
Volcano Group.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot more of that. There's a right-wing protest scheduled in February for Manchester. That's an achievement in itself because Manchester is extremely left-leaning as general population. So you could see a boiling point there. But yeah, the what was it? A single fire that took out 50,000 homes in Berlin.
50,000. So the fire took out in the most affluent part of Berlin. 50,000 people were left without power, including care homes, nurseries, churches, and hospitals, and 2,000 businesses. And it wasn't a sophisticated EMP, or it wasn't like a really smart kid doing a cyber attack. Oh no, they got firelighters and petrol and stuffed it underneath a couple of cables on a bridge and set it on fire. Now, this is in a country that's got a good security apparatus. cameras, CCTV. You can't watch everywhere all the time. And my concern is copycats in the UK or elsewhere in Europe, because people watch these things. And I was even reluctant to talk about it on YouTube the other day in case it promotes that which I fear. But I think we should be aware of these things.
Yeah. Only 8 HT transmission lines to keep London Stan lights on. There you go. Good little thing to know. It's scary how easily this is done, and I do believe that all the countries have these sabotage cells in, and the other country, it's cheaper for Russian oligarchs to send Andy £100,000 to go and do something stupid to a power station than it is for them to try and invade any sort of country, right?
Here's the thing: they don't even have to do it to the
Not that
power
you would,
station.
Andy.
No. Because the infrastructure's so far and wide. I mean, the same group, Tesla were building a factory in Berlin. So the same group that burnt out the cables in Berlin last week, they set fire to a transformer for the Tesla factory and shut that down as well. Now, this infrastructure's all over the place, and it's largely unprotected. And it's a real Achilles heel in Western society that we need electricity to live. And these idiots are now shutting it down.
Madness. You will never get the amount of power out of windmill as it looks to manufacture it ever. As it took to manufacture it ever. Yeah, I saw that episode of Landman. Don't try this at home, folks, says Miss Worm. Right, well, let's wrap it up, and we'll go around the table with this one. We'll start with you, Andy. Everything we've spoke about, everything that's happened in the first 11 days of 2026, what's your focus on going into 2026? Like, what are you looking at as the potential biggest threats, and are you making any contingencies for that?
I'm still in line with Brian, mate. I still think it's the power grid.
Yeah.
Like you said, like Brian just said there about Berlin, how easy that was for them to achieve.
Yeah.
And like you said, it would be the exact same here. So I mean, the only difference I would make, mate, is I've got the Delta 3. Ideally, mate, I want a Delta 2 as well. And I need to go and pick up my solar panel from City Plumbing this week. So, and then I will be set, mate. And the only thing that I would like on top of that is to get the repeaters up, so I can get to you a lot on the mesh core. That's the only two things that I think I would need.
Yeah.
To. And then I think I wouldn't be a Hawkins level. Do you know what I mean? Who's got like his Facebook, the guy who owns Facebook, or Zuckerberg. I haven't got a Zuckerberg bunker like Hawkins has, with his under his underheating garden and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? I haven't, but
I've also got his address. So
yeah, but that would no good, because you're like John Connor from the Terminator. You'd rock up, mate, and everything would break. All the panels would burst into flames. You know what I mean? All these electronics would be swirling in water or coke. Coke's the new one now.
Myth.
Or they'll be swirling in coke.
Myth.
But yeah,
I'm just wondering, was Mike in Venezuela when they shut everything down? Did they fly him over there and all the infrastructure shut down as soon as he hit the tarmac? Were you in with Delta? Was that what happened, Mike?
I'm not even going to rise to it. Not even gonna rise to it. Anyway. Alan, going into 2026, everything we spoke about, what's the biggest threat looming in your opinion, and how are you preparing for it?
It's like I says in the last show. I mean, I kind of think there's a few bubbles on the horizon economic wise. I think there's going to be some sort of economic correction. It might not be a collapse, but there's definitely going to be some sort of adjustment that we're not going to feel the benefit of. And I think there's a few bubbles in tech. I think the AI bubble is going to burst at some point relatively soon. And that's going to have some knock-on effects to all of us in the pocket. I think energy is only going to get more astronomically expensive. I mean, I spend a huge amount of my income now is just spent on energy. And going forward, I mean, apart from the wilderness type A preps, I mean, I do want to also get more involved. I want to get into the mesh core thing as well. I like the idea of that, and I want to get that done this year for sure. And I don't have any power banks, so I have got my eye on one that I can take it into sort of tent type situations, but I'd also like to have it as a system where I can have it here, so I could run my computer at least and my broadband should the power go out, if that was still functioning. I'm also streamlining a lot of my news intake. I've got 5 or 6 different areas of the internet that I receive most of my news from. I try and keep it as broad as possible and unbiased, but I'm tweaking that a little bit this year as well, because I think some of them have started creeping into the bullshit sort of zone. So I'm going to tweak some of them.
The bullshit zone.
The bullshit zone.
Brian, is it the grid, or is any of this current stuff going on made you change your focus? I mean, you must be power banked out, so you're probably as ready for the grid as you're ever going to be. So looking at prepping moving forward through this year, has something else took your focus? I see you've got John Wick's vest behind you with more things hanging off it than anything.
I was cleaning knives and oiling them yesterday and sharpening them, so I just left them against
around in that.
I left them against the Kevlar.
It looks fresh from a survival meet where, you know, you see people with the octopus straps everywhere.
Haribo in the pockets and
Options and choices.
That's it, Andy. I like your answer better. Options and choices. If I could pronounce it. Power-wise, I'll never be where I want to be. I'm pretty close. And I've spent a lot of money to make sure that we would be fine. If the grid went down, we would be fine in the short to medium term. I've got no doubt about that. But what concerns me most is the lack of stability. Markets like stability. Governments like stability, and people like stability. And every time something comes along to upset the apple cart, the markets take a shit and it affects finances and everything else. Now, if things progress the way they think they're going to do with Greenland or anything else, China might decide, you know what, screw it. If it's good for you, it's good for me. If they even blockaded Taiwan, there would be embargoes and everything else. We rely on shipping. All the stuff that we import from China that we rely on, it's cheap as chips, albeit the quality may be dubious. That would cause economic shocks throughout the world. If you interrupt supply in the just-in-time supply chain, we would all have problems. So my concern for 2026 is the sheer number of things that have changed to upset the normality and what knock-on effects that might have with shipping, trading, and everything else. So for me, 2026, I'll be adding more volume to our stock rather than any particular changes. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, definitely makes sense. For me personally, I'm going into the growing side of things, growing my own food, try and combat the cost of living a little bit.
Mike's cannabis farm
as well. Well, because that involves heat indoors. I mean, it'll all go wrong. We know that straight away. I'm going to be outside where it's fireproof-ish. So hopefully it'll be okay. But that's what I'm going to be concentrating on this year. I was just trying to find, it might be on the other one, so forgive while the background changes ever so slightly quickly. And I just want to say we've got 184 people in here. And if you want to meet us all, we are going to be at the Scottish Prepper Meet 2026. It's the bank holiday weekend, August 28th to 31st. So it's all 3 nights. It's at the Bush of Yews campsite near Langholm in Scotland. It's a lovely site. It's got pretty much everything you need there. And we've got the whole thing to ourselves. Buying, selling, demos, training, networking, social evenings, and much more. And it's £35 per pitch, not per person. So you can bring the whole family for just £35, and you can find the tickets for that on go to ukpn.org, go through to the shop and just search for the Scottish Prepper Meet on there, and you'll find it on there. It should be on the homepage if you scroll down. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that while we had all these people in here, so people don't miss out. And these guys will tell you that it's worth coming along to the meets. There's lots of things that I notice the chat wants to talk about that we can't talk about, but we can in person. All right. So it's
you going out
just for that.
I'm going. Yeah.
Oh, happy days.
Awesome.
Yeah. So we'll do a live fireside from there again, because JP set us up awesomely last time to do a live fireside from there last time. So we'll do that again, which should be a lot of fun. It was great actually doing it with a live audience and not having to go through comments like this. It was a pleasant change. So yeah, get along to that. Andy, quickly tell people about your channels, what's coming up next, and any final thoughts?
Yeah, Bombardier Prep channel. I'm going to start doing more stuff on the military side of stuff, like we spoke about numbers, actual situations, what it's like on the ground as opposed to the fake numbers that get pumped out. And Andy H. Shadows and Sightings, and that's about UFOs, cryptids, ghosts, stuff I experienced through military career, and then obviously outside of that. And no, it's been an interesting conversation. Like, mate, it's something that I actually have experience about. So I've enjoyed the chat, mate, enjoyed the questions, and book on to the Scottish meet for a chance to meet us all in person and have a drink.
Excellent. Josh, one of our American friends, says spam gross. That wasn't a sponsored advert in any way. We just want to build our own community for our own reasons. So we will push it and promote it as much as we like. So deal with it. It's not an advert. Alan, tell us about the World Survivalist, what you've got coming up. You've just done an awesome video, which you can find on 2 channels. You can find on Alan's channel, and you can find on the Sofa Survivalist, which is a bit of a mystery account, which you need to go and subscribe to when you get a chance. But yeah, tell us all about your channel and what's coming up next on that.
Yeah, so my channel, World Survivalist, is predominantly sort of wildernessy based. So it's largely camping, wilderness survival type skills and that kind of stuff. But kit reviews as well, and this year I've decided to include a little bit of the sort of opinion pieces. They'll only be sort of like 10 minutes long, max 8-10 minutes long, of my sort of opinions on survival, generally, survival topics, current affairs, things like that. It's not a podcast as such, although I have labeled it that way, but that's something new that I'm doing. I'll just see how that kind of goes. So my first rant was about this, what I call the Sofa Survivalists, and there's a certain American raccoon that owes me money for stealing the name. But he knows who he is. But yeah.
Excellent. Do you know what? I love the idea, Alan, but Brian, I can't help thinking for the last year, Alan's just been undercover getting dirt on us, ready for this new series where he can diss survivalists and
Well, he's got plenty of ammunition.
I know, he's got so much ammo. It's gonna be like, on February 7th, 2025, Brian said this. What a fucking idiot.
Somebody did actually say to me the other day, it's just going to be you gobbing off every week. I was like, nah, so that will probably be the only one. Everything else will be purely survival based for the most part, I
think. Excellent. Brian, tell us what's going on with your channel now that you're back as part of the working population, and what's happening there.
I slave for my employer, I'll have you know. I slave. I tend to do things that interest me, so that would be power related, because I think, rightly or wrongly, that it's the most likely thing in the UK to fail, and if it does fail, the potential outcome of that would be catastrophic. So I'll talk about power banks, solar arrays, battery backup systems, whole house, portable and generator sets, to just try and make your life a bit easier should you have an unplanned outage for a short term, medium term, or even, God forbid, a long term duration. And in between that, I'll put in some things that I think I would be interested in, which would be sabotage to the power grid, issues that may be causing something going wrong with the power grid. So it tends to be power related for the most part, and gear reviews. So next one will be a review on some life straws and what I think of it, and then I'll do a giveaway for members of the channel, and they'll get one for free, not the used one, obviously. So that's where I am.
Awesome. Excellent. So make sure you go and check out all these guys' channels. They give up their Sundays to come here and talk about whichever stupid topic I tell them it's going to be tonight, which I really appreciate them for. All my links are in all my videos, the ways you can support and get involved in the channel. What's coming up on mine is I'm fine-tuning my terrible acting skills, and I'm going to start actually reenacting some of the stuff that I talk about in scenarios. So I've recently done one about a fallout sanctuary inside your house to deal with like fallout, the after effects. I'm going to live like that for a weekend, and we're going to you want to see me crap in a bucket and eat next to it, that's going to be 2 days worth of that coming up on the channel soon. So
You're definitely going to come out with
time.
that with triplets.
No, actually, I'm going to send her away. I'm going to do it on my own. It's fine. But yeah, loads of exciting things to come up, and hopefully partnering with all of these guys this year to do different videos, getting outdoors and doing some awesome stuff. So stay tuned. Make sure you subscribe to every single channel, because it might not always be on mine. It might not always be on theirs. Make sure you subscribe to them all to make sure you see what content comes out. Yeah, Andy, final thoughts and goodbye.
Yeah, it's been good. And like, guys, don't forget to join the Discord channel that Miss Worms put in the chat. And I'll see you in the next one.
Excellent. And Alan, final thoughts, goodbyes.
Yeah, great. It's been really interesting sort of topics that we've covered, and I think everybody's realised I'm not an expert in any of this stuff. It's purely just my opinion. But I don't take it too seriously. You can only control what you can control in the world, but do pay a little bit of attention to a wider base of news. Like, that's what I'm going to be doing this year, and I think everybody should probably do that. Don't get siloed. Try and find out as much as possible, and take it from there.
Excellent. Brian, final thoughts and goodbyes to the masses.
Just thanks for coming along. People give up their Sunday evenings to listen to us talk absolute bollocks for 2 hours. It's always encouraging. We can agree to disagree. There's no experts on here. We offer information and opinions and best intentions, and that's all it is. Try not to be offended, and we'll try not to be offended with some of the shit you put in the comments. And have a good one.
Excellent. Big thank you to all the moderators, to Evil, to Rift, to Hawkins, to Telderboy, and obviously to Miss Worm, our awesome chief moderator. And just because one of our American friends says he hated the fact I did an advert, here's an advert for Miss Worm's channel just before the final credits. So goodbye from all of us.
In the glow of embers dance, we've prepared for every chance. Living simple, living true, with the dream we all pursue.